Welcome back, boys. We got the postseason round one recap coming your way. Week 14 and 15 action. We see some people take their team to the next level this past week. Some people are facing the toilet and the lake in devastating fashion, and others had their season coming to a quiet ending. So we're here to cover all the action for you. Nick, welcome back to the show. How are things going over there?
Man, I'm fucking sick, dude. So I know that everybody's pretty devastated. You don't get to see my pretty face up in the corner. I know Lemp's punching a wall right now. He's got to be devastated. But I didn't leave you hanging. I made sure to show this absolutely beautiful picture of everybody's favorite team captain, Odell Beckham Jr., holding the trophy that will be in our possession for around one more week before we hand it off to our new champion this year. So very excited to dive into this.
All right. And also joining us this week, we have owner of Sticky Mistakes, Adam Kleckner, and he is here to give us the breakdown of how his boys were able to triumph these past few weeks and take down the #1 seed in PC Principal. So, Adam, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell us how your boys were able to get it done?
Thanks for having me, Travis, and how we're doing this week, fellas. It's been a great week for fantasy football here. We see that I managed to squeeze it out, beating the #1 seed, just like our second favorite #4 seed, Alabama, is going to beat Michigan coming up here pretty soon. It's going to be a great 4-1 matchup there as well. So what we did here is we had a huge game by James Cook to really put it away here for us, because we had a whole roster of receivers on the bench that could have outscored all three of the ones we played this week. But Cooper did struggle in the area of not having two of his best players able to play this week. So we took advantage of that with a few mediocre scores, and then James Cook just really putting the team on his back there to make it happen. And then Jalen Hurts deciding to start and not sit it out with an illness just to put the final nail in the coffin there.
All right. So you've had the boys fighting hard all season, and now you have an opportunity to extend your column by one extra length. Why don't you tell all the casual fans of this league about your column and what the plan is to keep it intact?
All right. So I have my column, which is one half of the trophy, because we could fit 2 plaques per row on the trophy here for champions. I've won every other year. So half of this trophy only has my name. And this is my year allegedly to win it. And here I am back in the championship to keep that column going for the 4th straight iteration in an 8-year span, to keep the column going before anybody else has 2 full titles to their name. So that is what Travis is up against to try to stop this year. He's trying to stop the column. He's trying to stop the player that's only ever won championships when he's made it to playoffs in the championship games, where he's going to have to face him. I don't know. Best of luck to your boys, Travis. It's going to be a hell of a fight. I know you got McCaffrey, Dick. I'm really excited to be part of this game here, and I got my boys just excited to be back and ready to take another one home.
All right, we're looking forward to it as well. Nick, any questions for Adam before we swing it over to Principal here?
No question, just more of a comment. You said nobody's won 2, and that was Cap, so you're a little bitch.
All right, Adam, thank you very much for joining us this week, and best of luck to you in the upcoming championship.
Appreciate it, Travis. Likewise. Thanks for having me on.
All right, on the flip side here for PC Principal, they would fall short after a very successful season, propelling them to 11-2, but not quite enough to get the job done this week. 276 would be just short of Sticky Mistakes here. With Tyreek Hill out of their lineup this week, they would go ahead and also bench Tua Tagovailoa. Instead, choosing to play Justin Fields, he would only get them 9 points. There were a couple big performers behind them, the usual suspects. Obviously, out of a playoff team, Curtis Samuel had himself a great week. David Njoku with 25 and a touchdown out of him. And then the Dolphins defense putting up 36 in a shutout effort against the Jets. So very good effort out of this team, but it would not quite be enough to get the job done. The towel would come up wet for the team this year, not lake wet, but failure wet, I guess. And yeah, they will be going home early, heading to the 3rd place game. All right, moving on to our second game of the week. We have yours truly at the Texas Tech 10-4s. Big comeback victory, 254-237 over Glizz Mafia. We were down by about 13 after the first week coming into this one. A couple bad performances really put us up against it this week. Dak, not his best day, single digits. Puka Nakua also held the single digits, and then Travis Kelce only 5.8. He had a really bad drop in the end zone as well. We got to see better out of him if we want to capture the championship coming up here. But still some really good performances. Devontae Adams getting himself started off nicely on Thursday Night Football with 22.6. Really set the tone for the whole locker room this week. And then Christian McCaffrey would follow that up with 44 of his own on Sunday. And then Monday Night Football, K9 closing out the show with 21.7. Not our greatest performance, but it would be enough to get the job done here. And we turn our efforts ahead now to the championship.
This one just has to be this is a devastating loss for Glizz Mafia. So they held a 13-point lead going into this game, and then proceeded to have their worst outing of the season, inclusive of the regular season. And that's just that can't happen in during the playoffs. They did have a couple of good performers. Kyron Williams, 25 points, even though he had 2 fumbles. McVay just kept feeding him the ball, and honestly, for good reason. CeeDee Lamb during the everybody's favorite Stat Prescott drive when the Cowboys just try to pad stats at the end of the game when they're getting their backs blown in. CeeDee Lamb gets a rushing touchdown. And honestly, I at least thought that could have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But luckily for the Texas size 10-4s, that wasn't the case. Saints D also showed out here, getting 26 points of their own. And then going into Monday night, they had this weird quarterback dynamic of they had Geno Smith in the lineup. Is Geno playing? Is he not? Like 30 minutes before the game, he's playing. 15 minutes before the game, he's not. So they pick up Drew Lock, who honestly had himself a great game and an incredible block to spring K9 for a touchdown. Great for the Seahawks, bad for Glizz Mafia as they come up just short and head into the 3rd place game during this season.
We would also like to throw in, we wish speedy recovery to all of Glizz Mafia's players. They have been beat up a lot these past 2 weeks. We certainly would have rather faced someone there at their full strength, but you can't always get that this time of year. All right. Moving on, now we enter into the toilet bowl half of our postseason bracket. Our first matchup, we had WalllessPluto 84 taking down FaZe Kev in order to stay dry. WalllessPluto with the 271 and 240 victory.
Yeah, so no Mediocrity Bowl this year for WalllessPluto, but they do find themselves escaping the lake. And they can credit that to their Detroit Lions, baby. Jared Goff, 36.5 points, 5 passing touchdowns, and that routing of the Denver Broncos on Saturday. And also let's throw in some Jahmyr Gibbs, 100 yards on the ground, rushing touchdown, passing touchdown. Incredible day for his Lions players. James Conner also had himself a day, getting 20 points of his own and finding the end zone. We did want to call out, though, that Jamar Chase had what is being reported as an AC sprain in his shoulder in that Saturday game against Minnesota. We wish a speedy recovery for him and hope to see him back out on the field very soon. But this is good for WalllessPluto as they're able to escape the lake. And yeah, maybe they'll be back in Little Caesars Bowl next year.
All right, on the flip side here for FaZe Kev, it was a very slow start to the season coming out the gate, a little bit of a championship hangover looming over them. They would start to turn things around as after we pointed that out in one of these recap videos. And their season did look like it was going to get better. They looked like they maybe even going to snag a playoff spot at one point. However, now they sit about as close to the lake as you could possibly get, and they are 1 loss away from going in for what would be the 2nd time in franchise history. A couple good but not great performances from this team this past week. When you add it all up, it would be just short. Josh Allen only 2 total touchdowns, I guess that is, but only 18 points out of him. Would like to see more from your quarterback. St. Brown did have himself a good day. Like we said, a lot of great days out of Lions players, 24.7 from him, including a touchdown of his own. And the Lions D also rounding it out with 16 points. Just a few too many single digits in the middle there. They would finish with only 240. Obviously not going to be enough. We now look ahead, see if they stay dry. And they will be taking on, trying to get wet instead, the Pams, who fell at the hands of the Cleveland Steamers this past week. 315-285. Nick, tell us how your boys were able to get the job done and push Lamp 1 spot closer to the lake.
Yeah, I've said it for a couple weeks now. I mean, I'm just so fucking proud of this team, man. To like go from where we were, week one losing J.K. Dobbins, week two losing Nick Chubb. I mean, to lose both starting running backs in the first 2 weeks. Our third string running back played for the fucking Carolina Panthers, so that's basically nothing. We're on 0 starting running backs on week 3. At one point of the season, we were sitting here 1-6, and now to be sitting here at a proverbial 7-7 at 500, it's just a testament to this team, and their ability to fight each and every week. I do have a couple shout outs here. We were able to put up back-to-back Kiffins, our first 2 Kiffins, if we still give out Kiffins on a week-to-week in the postseason. But we had 2. We didn't even get a 20-point Mahomes performance. But we do want to shout out our boy, Papa Shad, Rashad White. He's been an absolute monster for us ever since we traded for him. We love him. We're so happy that he'll be on this team for the foreseeable future. We also need to shout out our boy, Debo Samuel. This man's just been going crazy over the past couple weeks. Another 20-point performance, 2 touchdowns. And I also want to shout out our team captain, Odell Beckham Jr. When we play the Pams, Odell wants to play, okay? He fucking hates this franchise, hates them with a burning passion. He wants to play. But Odell empowered 2 receivers this week, or over the course of the 2 weeks. First being Drake London in week 14. He had a career day in terms of receiving yards, not that 3.9. He had like 30 last week. And then this week, Odell empowered Terry McLaurin coming off of a bye as he set a career high in receiving yards, scored a touchdown and scored 27 points. And honestly, we needed every one of those points that in those 2 slots because the Pams put up their 2 best consecutive weeks over the course of this game. So again, just so proud of the boys and how they've competed down the home stretch of the season.
Yeah, as Nick just said, on the flip side here for the Pams, it was a very strong fight after a disappointing season, but their fortune would not turn for the better in this one. So they do come up short. They now find themselves 1 game away from having to jump into the frigid January lake. Usual performances mostly from this team in this one. Lamar continuing to play some really good ball, able to add 22 of his own to this. Cooper Kupp would find his way in the starting lineup this week, over 100 yards and a touchdown. 24 out of him in the win over the Commanders for the Rams. And then Ravens defense also adding 20 of their own in the beatdown of Jacksonville. Like I said, pretty solid performance out of Pams, even though it wasn't enough to get the job done. They now face their last chance to stay dry. We'll see if it's going to happen for them or if they find themselves in the lake once and for all, as the whole league definitely wishes. And then also real quick, before we get into the postseason, I did just want to touch on the Little Caesar Mediocrity Bowl in case anyone was wondering where the Chicos or Fancy Feast have been these past 2 weeks or where they will be the next upcoming 2 weeks. They are living in purgatory in a game that Sleeper has made it next to impossible to count, which is why these numbers are not even currently accurate, so ignore them. But that is what's going on with those 2 teams right now. And with that, we're going to take you to our preview of the final round of the postseason so you know what action we have to look forward to these upcoming 2 weeks. And as we end our season here. First matchup, 7 seed Cleveland Seniors sitting at 6-7, taking on 9 seed WalllessPluto 84 in the 7th place game. Nick, how much interest do your boys have in this matchup, and what is your message for them to get this job done?
So this is a great time to ask this question. Does the winner get the better odds at the 1 seed, or does the loser get the better odds at the 1?
The loser has better odds at the
1 pick.
But it's still only decimal percentages, and the winner gets $8.
Okay, so no further comment.
All right, we're gonna keep an eye out for that. Of the week, we got the 3rd place matchup. The 2 division leaders this season both have fallen. Now find themselves in the 3rd place game. Number 1 seed PC Principal 11-2, taking on 2 seed Glizz Mafia 9-4. PC Principal would win this matchup in week 13 of the regular season, which would give them the number 1 overall seed. But that does not seem to matter much now. Nick, what is your message for these teams heading into these last 2 weeks?
Well, these 2 teams have a lot of animosity. Coop is the ringleader of Fuck Please season, and Glizz Mafia, like we said, just put up their worst outing of the season, so they've got to just be absolutely pissed off right now. So I feel like this game could get very heated, and we could see a fight. We could see a fight.
That would definitely be a first in league history, but we're not necessarily against it. And then last or second to last, I guess, we have the people's main event, the co-main event. We have the toilet bowl finale to decide who will have to jump into the frigid January lake. In this one, we got 8 seed FaZe Kev sitting at 5-8, taking on Pams sitting in the 10 seed at 3-10. Although they did have a very strong round 1 performance, we'll see if they were able to keep that going. But it was FaZe Kev who was able to get the better of both of these matchups in the regular season, going 2-0 with a pretty solid victories in week 5 and especially in week 10. That was nearly a 60-point victory. So say who's able to get the job done here and able to stay dry. Nick, any advice for these two on how to make sure that happens?
So I remember when FaZe Kev went in the lake the first time and he was in a similar matchup. We had dubbed him the chosen one because he was supposed to be the one to put Blake in the lake that first time. And Blake actually ends up beating him and Kev goes in the lake. So Kev, this is a good chance of redemption because most, if not all of the league wants to see the Pams go in the lake in the next couple of weeks. So we have dubbed you the chosen one again. Do not let us down this time.
All right, very well said.
All right, everybody. Now we come to the main event, the championship game between number 4 seed Sticky Mistakes versus number 3 seed Texas Size 10-4s. Now, if you look at the top left here, the regular season matchup, Sticky Mistakes actually has the edge here, going 2-0 in the regular season, winning the first matchup 160-150, and the week 9 matchup 118-102. Now, both of these teams had, I would consider, upsets in round 1 of the playoffs. Sticky Mistakes knocking off Cooper, who had been the number 1 seed throughout the entirety of the regular season, and Texas Size 10-4s knocking off Glizz Mafia, who had one of the hottest hot streaks in for the Mom's fantasy history with like an 8-game win streak or something crazy like that. So both these teams, Adam, we know, has been here many of times. He's here every other year, and he's back again. Texas Size 10-4s back for the first time since 2019, where they actually faced Sticky Mistakes and lost, preserving Adam's column as we see it today. So want to throw it over to you guys first to just kind of talk about how you guys got here, what your expectations are for this week. So Adam, I want to start with you.
Well, we know we got a competitor ahead of us. Travis earned his way up here just like we did, and we've scratched and clawed for it, but here we are, the 3 and the 4 seed in the championship game. We know we got history on our side here, whether it's this season or in the history of the league, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen yet. We got to still put the work in. Our boys know it. They've been here before. They're just ready to go. They're at the edge here now. They can't wait to finish this season off against a great opponent, to take that title home and to add Travis into just another break in the column.
Yeah, so
Travis, I'll throw it over to you.
So for us over here at Texas Size 10-4s, we ended the season on a little bit of a hot streak. We won our last 3 games. We had a big win over our rival, the Philly Chicos. Really tried to carry that momentum into the playoffs. Hopefully that would guide us towards the championship. We can't really say we've done the best job of that over here. Round 1, we put up only 254. I think it might even be more fair to say that Glizz lost it more than we won it. I don't think they would be too upset to hear that. However, we're going to take the opportunity we were given. There's been no one complaining more about the column this year than us. So I guess we're just going to have to be the ones to take it down ourselves. Cannot let that extend for another 2 years. I'm tired of hearing about it, quite frankly. So we're going to make sure we have another hard week of practice this week. The boys are going to be coming ready to give it our best fight. And hopefully it should be a good one. Best of luck over there to Sticky Mistakes as well.
So I am in the kind of boat where I think the column is rather comical. It's honestly hilarious. I think it's great for, league banter and everything. But if there was somebody to take it down, honestly, I don't think of anybody to do that better than Commissioner League Texas Size 10-4s getting their first ever championship. Now, I do want to take a trip down memory lane to 2019 when the proverbial column started. Adam and Travis, you guys were both in the championship game. We all remember Mike Boone. Travis, how do you make sure that that doesn't happen this time around?
Well, that was a much different league, and we were a much different owner back then. This was much more casual fantasy football. We relied a little too heavily on the experts, specifically Matthew Berry. We relied on Mike Boone to get us the job done on Monday Night Football. But we have since learned from that mistake. We're going to try to go with more proven guys if we have to hit the waiver wire. We're hoping to just stay healthy and not have to use any of our depth or waiver wire pieces at all. But also, there is no Monday Night Football this year on championship week, so we don't have a chance to stumble then. So hopefully that alone will help us out. But yeah, we'd like to think we have a lot more expertise in the front office over here now, 4 years later.
And then last thing I kind of want to touch on here is there was a big trade that happened during the trade deadline between your two franchises, that being Puka Nacua, the steal of the draft by Sticky Mistakes, sending him over to the Texas size 10-4s for James Cook, who, as we saw in the round one recap, just been going absolutely nuclear the past 2 weeks. And additionally, getting a first-round pick, which Adam flipped for Jalen Waddle, and he also got Jacoby Myers in that deal. So first, I want to go over to Sticky Mistakes. How do you feel like that trade has really propelled your team and kind of rounded your team into form, into like kind of the championship team that you envision going into the year?
Well, like I touched on earlier, we were scratching and clawing our way into these playoffs because we struggled through the season position-wise. Back spot, what we had in our receiving roster, even without Jefferson pretty early on there. But with what we found in Puka through the draft, he became a huge component of the team, but that's in an area where we were pretty well set. So the fact that we were able to do that for the team was phenomenal in our run to get here into the championship game. Puka's a hell of an athlete. I'm proud of him for what he's been doing. I hope to see him have an incredible game, but I hope we just have a better one against him. All no hate at all towards Puka. Between our franchise, we're still in contact. We play Fortnite together sometimes, but other than that, he's been enjoying his time over. They're treating him well on the Texas size 10-4s, so I respect his organization in that manner.
And then Travis, how do you feel that Puka Nacua being kind of that missing piece of the team or the championship team that you envisioned when you made that trade?
Yeah, so for us, it was pretty much the same situation, but the flip side, our running back room had a lot of depth. We did not like to see James Cook walk out the door. Obviously, he's a dog. He just got 40 points for Sticky Mistakes last week. But we were in a little bit of fear with Leonard Fournette entering the Bills running back room that maybe his touches would be impacted. That did not turn out to be the case. But more importantly, we saw a young dog in Puka Nacua and the option to add him to our team, including his RFA rights. We just felt like we could not pass that up. And our receiving room was definitely hurting a little bit at the time. It's definitely been patched up now, pairing him with Devontae Adams. We really feel like we have a well-oiled machine at that position now, and we're ready to go and get our title this upcoming 2 weeks.
Great to hear from both of you. Honestly, I'm really pumped for this matchup. This should be an incredible 2 weeks to determine who's going to be the champion of this year's For the Moms League. So again, I'm super excited to hand this trophy over to one of you guys. You guys both have really great franchises. I'm really excited to bring this trophy home and present it to whoever comes out on top. And finally, just one last point before we end the video here. Fuck Lemp, you're a pussy ass bitch. I hope you go in the league.